Okay, we were up to Tufton Test Gimel, dealing with kneading the dough for matzos. Im ha'isha hi lasha hi mekatefes v'mayim. If a woman if she's kneading and she dips her hand in water, she dips her hand in water and puts water on it to make it easier. Lo takatef ba'osa mayim shemetzanenes behem yadeha. Shemischamim mechmitzim as a isa. That's I don't know about the makbid, but the woman, let's say a woman puts her hand in cold water to keep her hands cold so that the dough is not machmid so much. So then she shouldn't use that water to put a little bit of water on the dough, because that water may have gotten hot from her hands, and that bit of heat might machmid isa. It might be machmitz to isa. Eliyahela kli acher maleimayim she'tchatefo. She has to have a separate kli that she uses, because the heat from the hands will choshish is machmitz. But if she did it and she didn't cool her hands down and put water or whatever, it's okay. We're not machayev it. Just if she did it, there's no chiyuv to go ahead and cool your hands off. But if she did it, then she has to be nizar in. What to point one thing out I didn't point out yesterday. Maybe I'll wait to the end here. If person's losh the dough, if he needs the dough after zvan iser chametz, elu hamayim im shah hamayim sheruchsi v'hem ha'areva lo yishbechem ela makom midron. If a person goes ahead, if they use water to wash the tables or all these different things or whatever, so that water needs to be spilled out that would flow downhill. They should eat kapsu b'makom echa v'yachvitz. Shouldn't form a pool of water b'machvitz. It should flow down. It should flow out. Pour it into a pool of water or a lake or a toilet. I don't know, whatever. Down the drain is probably fine. It shouldn't be machmitz. Or any of the kalim that's used, the rollers, any of these things, or the knife, the big knife to cut the dough. Yigrarim tell me b'shasa asiya. You should always scrape them. B'shasa asiya shel yizrak behem abatzak. So if you use metal, that you should have, like I've seen places have like a disc, to sand it or to whatever, clean to clean it. Or if you use wood, they sand it down. Then have to dry them off well to use again. It's better than just scraping it. You can't just scrape off the dough. You have to go ahead and wash them off as well. But in the machmer, first you'll scrape it down, and then we'll wash them. Yontov mutter la soisei Yehudi. If you're making matzos on Yontov, you can have a goy scrape it down. V'imene Yehudi yatila l'tzonein. Put them in cold water. What do you do? Because there might be dough on it, and you're not using it anymore. So stick them in cold water, like we had the case with the challah. Or yitni l'tanor shiyafe abatzik shalem, or you stick it inside the oven so that that should bake the batzik. The issue is that when the Charedim said, wait a second, here, if on Yom Tov, you're not going to eat that batzik, so it's a bishul, it's a bishul shel tzarich. It's a bit of a question mark. It could be this is just in svara, not lamaisa. I don't know. The other way is to mevatel the chametz. Or you give a matana. The Shabbat says you can give a matana to your neighbor. Here, enjoy the roller. You have a new roller to bake your bread with. In the bowls that they put stuff in, mutter lahadiach. You're allowed to wash it off. Like we said before, you dump the water down the drain. and you should be careful with the areva that you do the lisha. Shelo yebo shum guma or sedek. You have to check that it does not. This is after Zman Isser, that it does not have any holes or cracks. Shelo yuchal l'nakro achar lisha v'tachmitz. That again before Pesach, it's batal. You don't have to worry as much. But if you're using something on after Chatzos, you have to be sure it has no cracks or anything like that. And after you do a second time, it's going to get back in the baltik. Unless you do, I guess, if you do one mara, one thing, then I don't know if you have to be so worried about it. And also, to knead, when you knead it out, you have to be sure the table's, smooth, there's no cracks. Also, anything you're using, you have to be sure there's no place that the things can get stuck. Al-kar or keses, tzemer b'shas alisha, never put the reva, the bowl on on some sort of soft pillow of wool. Shemechamim ha'reva, because it makes the reva hot. About al-sha'or shari, or is okay. I mean, and the minig is to use metal, or I think or marble. The marble keeps things cold. We've tried our best to keep things as cold as possible. But any sort of beget, any sort of thing, will mechamim it. The question is by Mishimata. One of the questions is, does it get? Is it machmitz? Does it get hot? And is it machmitz? One of the questions is, does it get hot from the machines? And how do you know? Mitzad echad, it's not hands, and a person's hands tend to get hot, so it can machmitz. This is a machine. I don't know if the machine works very fast, it doesn't get hot. So, metal doesn't get hot, it could be doesn't have the same dinim. Yesh lodun. It's, but when they do work the machines, they have to be sure that the machines are also, 100% clean. Again, it's samech bittul to a certain extent, but the very mahadrim ones, will take the machines apart and, clean out all the nooks and crannies, to be sure that it's clean. I remember I went on a chavur once, a bunch of, Yom Golait, we went to a Matzos factory, made machine Matzos and whatever. Someone told me, I wasn't there for that, but they that once, we're all working hard, cleaning the machine, this and whatever. And, someone from the Hechsher, from the Banas walks in and says, oh, you didn't open this up. Here, let me show you how to clean here. Meaning that, the profession, you have to really know what you're doing to go ahead and to clean things out properly, and don't just assume because, sometimes the people who work there know better, you have to ask. If someone did need it under the sun, hapas b'teres, it is mutter to eat, but if you leave it, if you sit for too long and the isa got hot, so then it's definitely a problem. If it's a very
seems to be out of place. You're talking about Tachas Hashamash before.
Yeah, but this is, I guess, as opposed to after all this about kneading. Yeah, I don't know, kneading with your hands. I don't know. It's a good question. If it's too soft, don't put more kemach in. To make another dough, like a very, with less water, a very hard dough, and then mix it together. However, the Mishnah says, the Acharnim say that if you can't, and you can't work, it's just too soft, you can't make matzos out of it, then you are allowed to add kemach. But you just have to be sure that this is just be sure you don't stick them in water or whatever, that the kemach won't mix in as well as when you first do it. So therefore you could do it, but it's not chachila, and you should be careful not to stick it in food, whatever. This is, maybe a real case of gebrachs or whatever, because if Choshish the flour didn't get mixed in properly, But if you have to, you have to. And when you're making matzos, you have to be sure they're far away from the kemach. Again, this is a real chash of gebrachs, is that if there's kemach, that's why they have the kemach in a separate room, usually in the water in a separate room, and then they just pour it, they stick that out the window or whatever, they pour it in. If there's kemach flying around the bakery or where you're making it, and kemach gets stuck to the matzos, that won't get baked, and then you'll have some flour stuck to it, stick it in water, and your soup, make matzo balls, you're gonna have a problem. So therefore, in this case, you have to be careful. But once it's needed, properly, and there's no kemach flying around, we're not specifically choshish for it, only on shemaitzer, or machmirim, or chasidim, or whatever. Fine. Dini matzos mitzvah. Ein loshin matzos mitzvah. Ein loshin matzos mitzvah. V'la ofin oisa al yedei eni Yehudi. Matzos mitzvah is a special thing. It's a bit of a machlokes, but probably the darshan, the pasuk, it says shvartim es matzos, that you're supposed to have shvur matzah for the Leil Seder. It means that you have to watch it from Shas. There's a machlokes, what that means. Does that mean Mishas Lisha or Mishas Ktsira? I mean, we try to be Machar Mishas Ktsira, but Ikar Din Mishas Lisha is enough. It's still called B'Shvartim and Samatzos. L'oifin oisa al yedei eni Yehudi al yedei chereshot v'katan. And you need to have lishma. You need to have a din of lishma to shomer from matzos mitzvah. So therefore, you can't go ahead and you can't do it al yedei a goy. A goy doesn't have das. Even if a Yisrael, sometimes there are situations where if a Jew gives the das, he tells the goy, you're doing it for matzos, you're doing it for whatever, that it's enough. Here it's not necessarily, although there are poskim hamekel, obviously the Fianian, but if you're really stuck and you only have goyim do it, then then you could be the Yisrael should help out a little bit upon him, but still it's better to do ayidei acher shot v'katan than achar, because they have a little bit of das. That's better than a goy who shaykhs. And what's considered a cherish? So the Chachamim say that in this situation there are different halachas of cherish throughout Shulchan Aruch. Sometimes when we're machmir when it comes to cherish, it's even someone who's just deaf. Here in general, when we in different places here we're talking about someone who is deaf and can't talk, and so then he's very minutak, he's very separated from the world, even maybe he can communicate, maybe whatever, but he's not as alert as other people, so therefore, it's not considered, it wouldn't be, you're not allowed to, you shouldn't use him. Shaita, obviously, Shaita, as well. Even a Shaita is even someone who, I've heard from different poskim they talk about that someone just thinks he's Mashiach, right? So it's also called a shaita. Even in one thing, he's like normal, and he's like, yeah, but by the way, I'm Mashiach. Whatever. They say that's also considered a shaita. And therefore you see there's something wrong there. So therefore, whatever, he also wouldn't be good. And the katan, so that's obvious that they don't know what they're doing. Even if they're 12 years old or whatever, we still say they can't do the matzahs. Shaila is by machine matzah. This is one of the big asik of the poskim, past 150 years, about doing machine matzahs. Is that considered lishma? Can there be lishma with that? So the original poskim done, they had machine matzahs. They had to crank the wheel or something, and that moved the matzahs along. That was better because it's koach, and you have lishma as you're doing it. the machine when you push the button. So it's still, there's still obviously there's still places you will say, since you're gorim everything, that's called koichoy, and therefore your lishma in the beginning is chal throughout. It's chal throughout the process, the machine. Obviously there are those who say that that's not called, pushing the button is not called koichoy, and therefore the lishma stops after pushing the button. The person should follow his own posek. Obviously there's not posking if the person's stuck, he has nothing else, only machine matzah, so Kulpanim can be able to the mitzvah with it if there's nothing else. But I was wondering, I don't know that if a person would program, wouldn't even push a button, let's say he would set a program in to the computer, a robot, right, and the robot would go ahead and make matzahs. Would that be considered lishma? That already I'm not so sure about, because at least pushing the button, you're starting the whole process. It's already a step beyond to go ahead and to program a robot, a whole machine, or to even let it figure out itself. I don't know what's going to be. That obviously would probably be very much more chosr and lishma and lishlodon. Beis harosh hayim mishtadol b'matzos mitzvah be'omin al siyasa. The rosh was makbid to go ahead and try to be there in matzos mitzvah. Omin al siyasa mizarz ha'iskim behem, and he would hey, let's get going, mizarz them behem masayev arichason, and he would sit down and help with the matzos as well. Chaim rori l'chol adam la'asos the tapa ba'as of a mitzvah. It's better, we say Yosef bo mishlucho, it's better for him to do it, since he has the shmartim as a matzos is a mitzvah on every person, not on the matzah factory. So therefore it's l'chachila, it's better to do it yourself. Obviously, most people, it's ishtadel, but it's not a chiyuv, and the person has other cheshbonos, and he doesn't have time, whatever the cheshbonos.
The factory will know how to do it better than you.
Right. Well, no, they're chaburas. There are chaburas which there are chaburas, the proper chaburas. Don't start your own chabura. There's some proper chaburas who might know what they're doing better, or if you go, sometimes here you can go to a matzah factory and help out a little bit and know what they're doing. That would work. But yes, if a person does a chabura of and you really don't know what you're doing that well, then having the chash chametz is worse than having mishtadel matzos mitzvah. But al kopanim, or it has to be rori achila. Sometimes not really rori achila, but whatever. Al kopanim, but still it's a mitzvah to go watch over if you can. Halosh acher zvan iser chametz yomer b'shas lisha. When the person's doing lash after Yisur Chametz, the person should say al peruim sheyiplu b'shas lisha v'aricha v'chen batzei Knead v'kelim, any crumbs that from the dough that fall that fall to the floor, v'chen batzei Knead v'kelim, and any dough which is stuck on the kelim, and mevatel loisam kadesh ninsam which mevatel kodem chimutzam, and you say I am a vatel. Then not that they should be bottled, because that doesn't, or he said, you shouldn't say that Peruim hefker, that they're hefker, that doesn't work. It's just, you have to say, I be mafkir, I be mavato, and to be clear that you need, that is bottled. Ein oisin svikin amitziyarim, you can't make pictures on the matzahs. The hainu the tire pas kivin chaya va'of. I don't know. You want to make a whole scene with orov and on the matzah. And I don't know, a gorilla or whatever. I don't know. So sheep korban Pesach. With you instead of using the holes, you put a shape and you do holes like that. You shouldn't do that. But kol ma she'osim oisav and masvei kadei yitzpach. But any holes you use what's called the radler, that you make holes not in the shape, but just to make holes so it doesn't rise. Any of these things, or any of the you make holes, you scratch or whatever.
You could make a roller that would make a
Right.
The oro. So why? It's not that would be okay.
It still seems we just don't do it because, it could be because also the issue is that you might come to be shower, didn't come out perfectly. Let me do it again. Person's choshish for like this. I want to make it see your bed. So that's the problem. But if you did it, it's okay. But you shouldn't do that. But when you do the radling, then you should careful to do it quickly because that's not the being menakev is not mamish being oisik, and it's the shehiyos are mitzdarif. Hagav yish lasas hamatzos v'kikin the minhag, and also remember we were talking about over here is the mechaber is usually talking about what we call Sephardi matzos, which are like pitas. They're floppy. They're like soft, floppy. I never actually ate one, but I've seen them that they're like what's called, they're similar to lafas. So so therefore also if you start trying to make pictures on it and I don't know whatever, it's also going to be much worse. But here, the minig Ashkenaz is yeshlas matzos for kiki, and the minig Ashkenaz is to make them very thin. Crackers will pass ava kishar lechem and not thick like other lechem. Ki ene kiki b'mari and lahachmitz, because it's a very thin. They don't machmitz quickly. If your person does buy, Sephardi matzos, it has to be sure. Have to be sure that it's a proper hechsher and there's a proper mesorah about how to make it, and not just. I'll just do it fast because it's much easier to get into issues with it. Ein oisim v'pesach pas ava tefach. Person should not make a tefach thick matzah. Now, obviously, we're not talking about the hard matzahs that the Ashkenazim make, because you can't make it into a tefach, and it wouldn't be edible if it was that thick. It was just, here we're talking about soft matzahs, and if you make soft matzahs, you shouldn't make like a challah or anything like that. It has to be less than a tefach, to be sure, because otherwise we said it's not, it doesn't bake in the middle properly, and therefore there's shayla of machmitz and whatever. Vav ein lahakel, ein lahakel vashe chmiru akadmonim sholasois pandish o flandenish, that we shouldn't be makel nowadays what the kadmonim were macher, not to make like pashtida. They used to make pies, to make a pie or something out of the dough, put meat inside, fruit, make desserts, things like that. That we were always machmer not to do that, because we're choshish that maybe it would ma'akev the afia, and it's not going to bake well, and then maybe machmitz, and also we don't know. We don't know if Paris might be machmit, like fruit juice, other things, other liquids more than water might be machmit quicker. So we don't know. So the minhag was to not do that. Person should not go ahead and crack an egg into the matzah, so you have like nice, you have a whole egg, so in the matzah. Because again, the anything's b'diavad is okay, but chopanim, all these things are can be ma'akev, and therefore when they wouldn't be chametz, I wouldn't recommend you eat it, but it won't be chametz a year over. So therefore, the person should not try to play around with the matzahs. Stop here.